Welcome to Gettysburg National Military Park. You are located at the center of one of the most famous battlefields in the world, enacted on a stage of 20,000 acres during the first 3 days of July 1863. The Battle of Gettysburg was one of the most decisive battles in history. Termed the high tide of the Southern Confederacy, it is considered by many historians the turning point of the American Civil War. Your present position is indicated by the white light on the map. The town of Gettysburg is north of us, about 1 mile. Note that the map is oriented as marked along its edges. Near the end of June, part of the invading Confederate Army passed 25 miles beyond the town of Gettysburg. Now, on July 1st, the whole Army, led by General Robert E. Lee, was converging from the west and north. General George Gordon Meade, commanding the Northern Army, moved his forces in from the south of Gettysburg. He had been ordered to stay between the invading Confederates and Washington, D.C., the capital. Therefore, when the Battle of Gettysburg started, the Northern forces came in from the south, and the Southern forces came in from the north and west. The first troops to arrive were Union forces. They came in from the south, passed through the town of Gettysburg, and scattered out in line of battle, leaving 2 brigades in reserve. The reserve brigades are resting at the cemetery near our present location. Then the Confederates began their attack, first from the west and then from the north. The Confederates advanced and struck the Union line in this fashion. Today, the Eternal Light Peace Memorial stands at about the center of where this July 1st fighting took place. The commander of the Union troops that opened the action, General John Reynolds of Lancaster, Pennsylvania, was killed at this spot, only 52 miles from his home. He was succeeded in command by General Abner Doubleday, the man who ordered the first shots to be fired from Fort Sumter more than 2 years earlier, marking the beginning of the tragic Civil War. The important thing to note here is that the Confederate line was longer than the Union line. It overlapped the ends of the Union position. The right flank of the Union line at Barlow Knoll, in particular, was in danger. Finally, the right end of the Union line crumbled. Then the remainder of the Union forces on left and center were dislodged and compelled to fall back along this line. The Confederates continued to press the Union men and drove them through the streets of the town of Gettysburg. The Union line continued to fall back until it reached the point where the reserve troops were waiting. And then, with their assistance and the cover of the ridge, the retreat was halted and the line reorganized. The Confederates pursued, but did not again attack on the evening of the 1st of July. Instead, they were content to reorganize their line in this manner. And as the campfires began to appear behind the lines the night of July 1st, the 2 armies occupied these positions. To sum up the first day, the Union forces were driven back through the town of Gettysburg, a distance of nearly 2 miles, and the retreat ended here, where we are located, on what is called Cemetery Hill. In the meantime, the Confederate commander, General Lee, arrived on the field and made his headquarters here. General Meade, the Union chief, arrived and made his headquarters there. Meade's headquarters is just about 600 yards south of the Visitor Center, our present location. During the night, a few additional campfires appeared behind the Confederate line, out along the Chambersburg Road. indicating the approach of the head of Longstreet's column. Lieutenant General James Longstreet commanded the 1st Corps of the Confederate Army and was a trusted friend and confidant of General Lee. His approach would not have been as consoling to the Confederates if they could have seen the great number of additional campfires springing up in the Union rear, indicating the arrival of many more Union forces. This buildup of Union power took shape throughout the morning of July 2nd. As the campfires winked out behind the lines, the newly arrived Union troops moved into position along the front. No fighting had occurred during the night of the 1st or the morning of the 2nd, and that is the appearance of the two lines as they approached the first fighting on the 2nd day at Gettysburg. The 3rd Corps of the Union Army, under General Daniel Sickles, advanced to a new position ahead of the Union position. When Sickles reached that point, he received word that Confederates were moving from the west. This was Longstreet moving in. Sickles' line was spread out in this way. An angle was formed in the line at the famous Peach Orchard along present-day Business Route 15, the Emmitsburg Road, the road to Washington. The left of the line rested at a large ledge of rocks called the Devil's Den. Longstreet is ready. His men come forward in line of battle from Seminary Ridge. He opens by advancing his right toward Big Round Top, the large hill at the southern end of the battlefield. Big Round Top held no immediate importance because it was wooded and too rugged for artillery. The smaller hill to the north, Little Round Top, had recently been cleared of trees. It became a key position at Gettysburg. If the Confederates had occupied this hill, the smaller one, they may well have won a victory at Gettysburg because from the crest, their guns would have commanded